As we are just hours away from the 53-man roster cut-down date, the Giants and Joe Schoen have been active. They cut another 17 players today, totaling 29, which means they have 8 more roster cuts to go. Once the Giants do get their official 53-man roster, we are going to have a video out on the channel. So make sure you are subscribed for that, because when the Giants make a move, we make a video. But also, we are trying to take down the 0-1 Minnesota Vikings Now channel hosted by Patrick Seatman here at Chat Sports. I want to beat the Vikes, and I also want to pick up more subscribers than them when we do play them 2 Sundays from now. So if you love the Giants and you want to be 1-0, subscribe to the channel. And if you are already subscribed, just smash that like button. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it, as Joe Schoen has until 4 p.m. Eastern today to get the Giants roster down to 53 players. Before we talk about the cuts that are made, I do want to say this. The 53 players that are going to be announced at 4 p.m. Eastern today will not be the same 53 players that take the field against the Vikings coming up in 2 Sundays. The roster will continue to change. It will continue to be in flux. And the Giants are going to add players in the waiver wire, which means some of these guys that make it are also going to be cut in the coming days. Something to always remember. Also, some of the players they cut, they are going to try to get them back on the practice squad. And I believe Isaiah Hodgins, who was cut by the New York Giants today, is a prime candidate to return to the practice squad. Look, if you follow this channel, you know this isn't much of a surprise. We told you following the NFL draft that Hodgins was going to be a cut candidate, and unfortunately, he did not make this team. And it stinks because I'm a huge Isaiah Hodgins fan. I remember the day that the Giants claimed him in the middle of that 2022 season. We were 5 minutes away from going live on the channel. We had to push the live show back. We put out a video, then we went live. And it was an awesome season. It was an awesome 2-year career for Hodgins with the Giants. He killed the Vikings, and he was not on this team. The Giants would not have made the run that they did in that 2022 playoffs. So I just want to show some love to Isaiah Hodgins. Once a Giant, always a Giant. Give some 18s in the chat. Show him some love. Another receiver that really is, I would say, a little bit of a surprise, because at one point I thought it would be Allen Robinson versus Isaiah Hodgins to make this team. But if you watched the show yesterday where I had my official 53-man projection, neither Robinson or Hodgins was on it. The veteran did not make this team. And when you're a wide receiver trying to notch that 5th or 6th spot at the depth chart and you don't produce on special teams, it's going to be hard to make the team. And unfortunately, the veteran Robinson did not make it. I think he's better than the 5th receiver that we have that's currently on this team. But maybe things will shake loose coming up soon. A surprise, Miles Boykin, a player that I had in the 53-man roster, and someone that every single Giants beat reporter had in on the 53-man roster. He does not make the team. A lot of people thought because of what he does in the special teams department would have got him a spot on this team. Well, it did not. So the Giants at this moment have 7 wide receivers still on the roster. You know, Neighbors, Slayton, Hyatt, and Wan'Dale Robinson are all going to make this team. The fact that Bryce Ford-Wheaton is still up there at this point tells me that, 1, it's a little bit surprising, and 2, he is going to maybe be able to make it as a special team specialist when you consider that Isaiah McKenzie and Gunnar Olszewski are also dealing with injuries. I think one more cut is going to come from this room unless they put McKenzie or Olszewski on short-term IR. Maybe the cut of the day that hurt the most for me was my guy Dante Turbo Miller. Not really a surprise, but man, I just love the way that he runs the football. He ran really hard in that Lions game. I was impressed by the way he ran in that Jets game, and he brought something to this running back room that really no Giant had, which is top-end speed, a home run threat. Anytime he touched the football, he can go to 0 to 60 faster than anybody on this roster. And for a guy that's a little undersized at 5'9", he ran hard. I think he'll be someone that the Giants try to circle back and add to the practice squad. That's what Dan Duggan told me on Twitter. But man, this one stinks. I was a major fan of Turbo. Also, Jakob Johnson, the fullback the Giants signed a couple of weeks ago, probably a week and a half ago at this point, from the Las Vegas Raiders. The fullback does not make this team. We had heard in the offseason that Brian Dable wanted to add a fullback to this roster. He had a good one in Johnson. I thought he played well in that Jets game, but he does not make the team, which leaves the Giants with just 3 running backs on the squad. Devin Singletary, Eric Gray, and Tyrone Tracy. I'm surprised that Johnson didn't make the team. A lot of people thought he was going to, especially after the late addition and the way that he played and the lack of a tight end on this roster. But it's always tough when you get down to 53 and Johnson, who may return to the practice squad and be a couple of game day call-ups. He's not on the team to start the season. Lawrence Cager, the offseason darling for the New York Giants. Brian Dable singled him out multiple times, said he was the most improved player on this team, but he wasn't available. And that stinks because injuries just got in the way. He didn't practice at all in training camp, or he tried one time after being not on the pup, but he missed the first initial part of training camp, then came back for one practice, and then he had a major groin injury. He's going to be out a while. Maybe they get him back on the practice squad, but he's just not going to make this team at this moment. Another tight end that was cut was Jack Stoll. Remember, the Giants signed him early on in free agency, came over from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was their blocking tight end. I thought that he was going to be the guy that they factored in to that fullback position, but Stoll, unfortunately, does not make this football team, which leaves 3 tight ends on the roster. It was really always going to be a battle between Stoll and Manhertz, and Manhertz just proved to be more of a blocking player, which the Giants were after. Bellinger, Theo Johnson, and Manhertz round out the tight end room. Now the offensive line. Marcellus Johnson, the 2024 UDFA out of Missouri. He does not make this team. Always a long shot for these UDFAs to make it. Hope the best for him going forward. Jimmy Morrissey, the free agent that came over, I believe it was from the Houston Texans. Fact check me in the comment section on that one. But Morrissey, a 2021 7th-round pick, he has also been waived by the New York Giants. There are still going to be cuts on this offensive line, as the Giants right now have 11 players on the offensive line. I think they will keep 9. I think 2 more players get cut. But week 1, you're going to see Thomas, Runyon, John Michael Schmitz, Greg Van Roten, and Jermaine Illuminor as your starting 5. And I believe the 4 backups that are going to make this team are Joshua Azudu, Jacob Kubis, Aaron Stinney, and Evan Neal. I think Schlottman could be cut, and I think Miles could be cut. Maybe they keep Schlottman because of his center guard flex, and they don't really have a backup center. But, man, maybe they keep 10 guys, and Miles is the only one that gets cut. But I do expect at least one more roster move to be made at this position. That is all the cuts that we have on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to talk about the defensive side of the ball coming up in a second. Not really any surprising cuts, but ones you definitely need to hear about it. And a preseason winner of mine did get cut. We'll talk about that. But first, I got to tell you guys about our proud sponsor, Game Time. Download the app. Use this logo. That's what it looks like. So download Game Time, create an account, use the promo code ChatSports, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase when you do want to buy some tickets. Maybe do a Giants game. Maybe you want to go see the Mets or the Yankees before the summer ends, or maybe you just want to get ready to roll with the Knicks this season. It's going to be a big year for them. Game Time, make sure you get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. Prices actually drop as the events get closer. So if you're a procrastinator, kind of like I am, Game Time is the app for you. They also let you know when last-minute tickets and flash deals are going on. The app is made to take care of their customers, and that is something that I will always appreciate it. Make sure you do use that all-in pricing feature when you're looking at different tickets to buy. That way, when you see that 2 tickets are worth $50, you pay $50, and you don't get hit with all these hidden fees at the end when you do get to checkout. Giants games, concerts, theater events, and more. If you could buy a ticket to it and it's an event, Game Time will take care of you. So download the app, create an account, use that promo code ChatSports, CHATSPORTS, and get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. What time is it? It's Game Time. Check out Game Time. Be a real one. Support the show. Support the sponsor. The tackling machine, Kj Cloyd, the standout star, that 3rd preseason game against the New York Jets. He has been cut by the Giants. I'm almost certain they're going to try to bring him back to the practice squad, but maybe his performance in that game this past Saturday put other general managers on notice that need a linebacker. The Houston Texans need to go out a linebacker. Maybe they go and circle the block for him, but he was awesome. 21 tackles, 12 solo tackles. He played his tail off. I love the compete level that he played at. I'd like to see him on the practice squad, but who knows. Another draft pick for Joe Schoen as the New York Giants general manager, 2022 6th-round pick Darrian Beavers has been cut. That's 2 players from the 2022 class that have been cut. Beavers, and Marcus McKeithen. Beavers didn't even make the team last year. So, it's a 6th-round pick. I'm not going to hold it against Joe Schoen, but good general managers, they find productive players late in those rounds. And Joe Schoen has done that. Micah McFadden and Daniel Bellinger have been good players, but man, it's not always fun when you have to cut players from 2 drafts ago. But the inside linebacker room, as currently constructed, looks like this. Bobby Okereke, Micah McFadden, Carter Coughlin, Matthew Adams, Dante Johnson dealing with that injury, and Darius Musow. I'm hoping that they get to keep all 6 of these guys, but most likely another player is going to get cut. If I had to bet, it's going to come down to Dante Johnson and Carter Coughlin. From inside linebacker to outside linebacker and the pass rusher, 2022 UDFA Tommen Fox has been cut by the New York Giants. I thought he played well in that final preseason game against the Jets. He generated some pressure. I've always been a fan of his. Played really good at North Carolina, but he doesn't make the 53-man roster. Also, Ovi, the rookie UDFA out of LSU, he also has been cut by the New York Giants. Had 6 tackles, 4 solo tackles in the preseason, but neither of these edge rushers are going to be a part of the long-term plans for Big Blue, as Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau are going to be your cornerstone pieces coming off the edge. We're going to keep our eyes on Azeez Ojulari. Multiple beat reporters have hinted that he could be on the move. And those last 2 spots, Boogie Basham and Benton Whitley, I think this could be the 5 defensive ends / pass rushers that make this team. Not sure another move is going to be made. Major shout out to Benton Whitley. At the corner position, Tre Herndon, who was signed by the Giants following, I don't know if it was minicamp or OTAs on a tryout basis, ended up making the team via contract offer, but he doesn't make the official 53-man roster. And then Darnay Holmes, probably the longest tenured Giant on this team. I think he was a 3rd or 4th round pick out of UCLA about 4 or 5 years ago. Came back to the Giants after signing after his contract ended, then signed a veteran minimum 1-year deal. They tried to move him to the outside this year to play corner. He's always been a slot corner. He struggled outside, and he was inevitably cut by this team. This is what your corners look like right now. Banks, Flott, Phillips, Hawkins, McLeod, and David Long Jr. That's 6 corners right there. I've included Isaiah Simmons in this corner depth chart because people are calling him a nickel this year. I could see him at safety. I could see him at nickel. I could see him at a sub-package linebacker. He's going to make this team, but maybe these 6 true corners of Banks, Flott, Phillips, Hawkins, McLeod, and Long will make it until the waiver wire does open up on Wednesday. The UDFA Alex Johnson, a player that a lot of people thought were going to make this team. I had him outside of my 53-man roster, but man, he played well in the preseason, made some plays in camp. He was a nickel at UCLA, had a really nice college career. The Giants transferred him to a safety position, played well there, but I think he just lost that battle to Javarius Owens. Johnson is going to be a prime candidate to come back on the practice squad. Then Raheem Lane, who the Giants signed a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago at this point, didn't even play in the preseason or didn't calculate any stats. He did not make this team. The Giants just have 4 safeties now on this roster. Maybe another position player is added. Maybe they go do something else, but it feels like 4 safeties is a little bit light, especially in a Shane Bowen defense where he wants to operate in that dime package, 6 DBs on the field, more than anybody in the league. Ran it 24% of the time when he was with the Tennessee Titans. So I expect another move to be made here. Well, we're going to quickly recap just the cuts that were made yesterday. All the ones we've talked about have been today, but these are the guys that were cut yesterday. That includes Marcus McKeithen, 5th-round pick in 2022, Matt Nelson, Kyler Ball. All those players have been cut with Trey Kaiser, Breon Borders, Christian Holmes, Clayton Isbell, and then 2 UDFA receivers in John Giles and Ayer Asante with Joshua Kelly being cut, Lorenzo Lingard, Timmy Horn, and Jonathan Sutherland. So the Giants, they still have to make 8 more cuts. And when they do make those cuts, we're going to get a video out on the channel. So make sure you are subscribed. If you made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed, please do so. We put out free videos every day, and it's the easiest way to support the channel. And I want to pick up more subs than former Giants Now producer who hosts the Vikings channel, Patrick Seaman. Subscribe, turn notifications on, and we'll see you in a little bit.